Meanwhile, Brewer's back and has brought with him his NBA offseason grades, although he was recently just yelling at a producer saying he did not have his offseason grades, so we need to get on that. Well, he mentioned it aggressively. And finally, a special training camp edition of Mahomes Mountain. This is very exciting. We also hear from Mahomes several times in this program. He talks about the NFL 100 and maybe a little Tom Brady alongside Nick Wright, who I talked to yesterday for 3 hours, plus time in the office. So
this guy is trying to tell you something.
We're pushing 5 hours.
What happened?
He's just Brew.
What did I miss?
5 hours?
You are
a Game of Thrones, but with one guy. It's a lot.
You're the needed equilibrium, because if not, wild
it's just a lot. It's like a limited run series on HBO, but we did it all at once, and it was just a play. And no different scenery.
Wow.
But we're starting with LeBron.
Different scenery. You're such an idiot.
That's according to Howard Beck, who says the opt-in put LeBron in a bad spot. James chose the money this summer, as is right. It's a choice, and that choice comes with the consequence of surrendering some autonomy. Now, he can lament and nudge and ask his agent to issue passive-aggressive statements. That's from Rich Paul, who's like, hey, you guys trying to win and build for the future, we get it. But the reality doesn't change. $52 million makes it extremely difficult to find a viable trade, assuming he truly wants one. As one rival executive said Sunday, I think he is stuck in L.A. Was it a mistake by LeBron to opt in? And what do you think about Howard Beck's column?
No, it was not a mistake. No, there's no contending team out there that had money to give him anything close to the max, like even half of the max. All right, so he couldn't have done that, right? And the only way this is a mistake is if LeBron were willing to go play for the veterans minimum, $3.6 million, something like that.
Which, do you agree he would have gotten killed for? Like,
yes,
if he would have taken the minimum to go play with,
say he went to Cleveland for the minimum,
or Denver,
the minimum.
Or if he would have played for the minimum, he would have gotten pilloried for it. But so go ahead, sorry.
And had, let's say he went to Denver, won a championship.
They would have said fake.
Yeah, people would have criticized him for it. And I just don't think when you're at his caliber, I don't even know that you want to do something like that. You know, so I don't think it was a mistake at all. In fact, by opting in, I think he did several things. One, if he wants, he's already with a top 5 player, Luka Doncic. He can play with him. All right, that gives you, and make the max. Or if you do want to get traded, and I know it's tough because of the aprons and all that stuff, but the Lakers, you could actually work with the Lakers on a trade and get your max money and get traded to a contender. Say New York, we'll talk about that at some point. But maybe if he got traded, he could get traded to the Knicks, play for a contender, and get the maximum salary, which he couldn't have done by opting out. Or if he doesn't want to be in L.A., and I don't think that's the case, but if he doesn't want to be there, opting in gives him the option of a buyout with the Lakers. If they want to buy you out, you could go play for a contender for the minimum, but get your max contract from the Lakers. So there was no downside to me I guess if you wanted to say, should he have gone for a 2-year long-term contract? But LeBron doesn't need that. If he wants to play after next year, he'll have that option there or somewhere else. So, no, I think I don't want to say much ado about nothing because I think he'll be with the Lakers next year. But, I mean, I guess it's possible.
It's more possible now.
It's more possible. But I don't think it's, like, imminent or, LeBron's about to get moved or something like that.
I don't think it's imminent, but I think it is a larger percentage chance right now than at any point in his Laker career.
Yes, I would say that.
And so I want to say, because I read Howard's column and I listened to his full pod that he and Zach did. We all know and love Zach Lowe, and Howard has actually hosted this show with me years ago. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I really like Howard.
Back with Howard.
I was puzzled by Howard's in the column and on the podcast, and he's not the only one, almost like annoyed tone. Like, here, whether we like it or not, LeBron's the story once again. Guys, we knew Kevin Durant was getting traded. Since he was traded, the most shocking things have been buyouts and Norman Powell trades. The way Shams promised us one of the most shocking summers ever. Nothing's happened. The second apron's ruining free agency. Nobody has money. There's no movement. The Lakers have 26-year-old super duper star in there, and according to Dave McMenamin, they're like, we're planning for 2 years from now. The NBA's right now, sometimes is the second. Some years, the best part of the season is the playoffs, and the second best part of the season is free agency, with regular season a distant third. This year, there's been nothing. So I'm glad there's legitimate reason to talk about, hey, is there a spot for LeBron? Does it make sense? As far as did he make a mistake to opt in, I echo everything Bruce said. We talked about it yesterday. Had he opted out and been like, cut the Lakers a break, I'll take the Dirk, $20 million in my final year. From the 52, that opens up $0 of cap space for them. If he had taken the minimum, it would have cost him $50 and opened up like $9 million from them. So that would have been insane. As Bruce said, there was only the Nets had cap space. So if he opts out and signs somewhere else, the most he can probably get to like $14 million. And I happen to think people, if he did that and signed with an awesome team, people would say he's stacking the deck. They would say ring doesn't count. So I agree with everything that Brew is saying. Where I want to add to it is because some people have said, well, if you don't want to be with the Lakers, which he hasn't said, but that statement made it seem possible, then why would you opt in? If I'm LeBron and I saw the trade market for Kevin Durant, who makes the same money and is a great player, but in my opinion, not quite as good as LeBron, even at this point in their career, I would think, well, that type of market will exist for me too.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Jimmy Butler, who makes more than LeBron and is not as good as LeBron, there was a trade market for him. I think that the idea that there wouldn't be a trade market if LeBron did want to trade, that the $52 million for LeBron James is an impediment to winning when he's the 13th highest paid player in the league and probably the 6th, 7th, or 8th best player in the league, that to me doesn't make sense. So no, I agree with Brew that there was no perfect solution here because there wasn't cap space elsewhere and because taking less with the Lakers wouldn't have given them flexibility and because because of the second apron stuff, trades are harder, you know what I mean, than before. It's messy, but I don't think it was a mistake.
All right, more Howard Beck, this time with Zach Lowe on if the Lakers have done enough. Take a listen.
I think any team that has LeBron and Luka, and LeBron's still playing at an all-NBA level, the guy made all-NBA second team legitimately last season. I get the defensive concerns. I get the aging.
You look at it, it's like second team All-NBA. Luka, when he's healthy, is a first team All-NBA player.
Right. That should be the basis for a really good team.
Okay. So can they contend in a real way? They have a run.
Contend. I mean, they're not the top contender, obviously, in the West, but they're a contender. These are the teams. They're one of 5 teams that has 2. Now, this is obviously assuming LeBron plays at an all-NBA level next year. At his age, the bottom could fall out midway through the season, and he just, age will hit you at some point. But if he's the player he was this year or very close, then yes, they are a contender. I'm not saying I expect them to win the West, but they are absolutely a contender. One, because they have 2 with Luka healthy, and if he's lost weight and he's coming, he was injured last year, so maybe he wasn't fully 100%. He comes back as Luka at the top of his game. LeBron plays like he did last year. That's 2 all-NBA players. There are 4 other teams in the league, and hit me if I miss one. New York with Towns and Brunson. Cleveland with Mobley and Donovan Mitchell. Houston now with Şengün, and now that they have Durant. And OKC. And Jalen Williams is... Most people probably wouldn't consider him like an all-NBA type player. He made 3rd team last year because they're winning so much. All 4 of those teams are contenders. So they are absolutely contenders. And first of all, the West is about matchups. It is all about matchups, all right? We saw OKC. We saw Denver injured with their 3rd best player couldn't even lift his arm above his shoulder, Michael Porter Jr. And then in Game 7, Aaron Gordon is hobbling around on a bad hammy, and they took him 7 games. But yet that Denver team can't beat Minnesota, which couldn't play at all with OKC. Yeah. All right? And the Lakers, who looked great against OKC, I get it, regular season games, but they gave them some problems.
Got clocked by Minnesota.
Got clocked, yes. So it's all about matchups. Now, I think the Lakers match up really well with OKC. And if they got OKC, I'm not, OKC's the deserved champion, but I think they should feel like they can play with them. The question is, can you play with some of the other teams that you would have to match up? So it's going to be about matchups. And let me say this lastly, Nick. I like the DeAndre Ayton addition. Everybody was going, I'm not saying he's going to be all NBA, but everybody was going gaga over Mark Williams before they rescinded that trade. DeAndre Ayton's better than Mark Williams. DeAndre Ayton is 10 rebounds a game every year of his career, 10 or 11, 16 points for his career. I get it. He's got attitude issues and all of that.
Maturity issues.
Yes,
and
but
issues.
He's a great pick and roll guy. He'll be great for lives with Luka. He can shoot the short mid-range shot really well. Like, he defensively is going to be, is he going to be there or is he not? But what's out there for what they had last year, that was the best thing they could have done at the center position.
So I'm not as high on the Ayton move as it sounds you are. I think it's for $8 million. I think it's a worthy dice roll.
Absolutely.
Here is where I would push back a bit. I do think we are seeing in the modern new champion every year NBA that the power of who your best is less predictive than your overall top 8. Because when you went through those other teams, what we all agreed, what I think we'd agree with is, okay.
Every one of them.
OKC, the Knicks, and Houston. You know what they also have? An awesome bench. Like, a guy, somebody who's not starting, who's going to be like, damn, I'm good enough to start in a bunch of places. And where I think Rich Paul's statement came from, which is LeBron's feelings and the agents voicing it, was seeing the writing on the wall. We're going to be thin again. We're going to be, you know what I mean? We are probably going into this year where JJ might again be like, maybe I got to play the starters the whole game. And when you see Indiana, who, even with Halliburton healthy, we would all take LeBron Luka over Halliburton Siakam. You know what I mean? If it was a 2-on-2 tournament, the Lakers might be the favorites in the league.
But look, if the Lakers were in the East.
Oh, no, that part true as well.
They'd probably be the best team in the East.
Right. If
them were the Knicks right now.
So fair enough. So the East is maybe unfair. But my point is, Indiana's strength was, we got 9 guys we trust. You know what I mean? And so I just do wonder if that's what handicaps the Lakers, is the fact that while their top 2, much like, by the way, when it was LeBron and AD, that top 2, when they played together, they had health issues, was really good. And then
Reeves is pretty good.
Reeves has gotten better. Reeves didn't have a great playoffs.
Ayton is, Rui, they're starting 5.
Their starting 5, I think, will be fine. Yeah. But it's just,
but the championship team was deeper.
The championship team was deep. All of the recent champions, except for Denver, has been really deep.
You would agree that they're contenders. I'm not saying they should be favored in the West. They shouldn't. There are a few teams I'd pick over them in the West, but they should be contenders.
Right now, I think they're the 3rd best team in the West. And so, so I do think they're a contender.
Wow, that's high.
I think there's
OKC, Houston,
I think
Denver.
it's OKC, Houston, and then them and Denver are the next group.
Randy Moss
one way or the other.
asks an interesting question. Who is